Hey, what is going on, guys? In this video today, we're going to be going over 5 mistakes that console Fortnite players commonly make. I don't want to make it seem like I'm singling out console players or anything by saying that. I'm sure the mistakes I'm going to share in this video are also common on every other platform as well. We'll be going over a variety of different things, and I think no matter your skill level as a player, you should find that at least one of these mistakes will apply to you, if not more. So without further ado, let's get right into it. Alright, so the first mistake that I want to cover is being too predictable with your edits. Now the reason why I'm going over this one first is because this is probably the single biggest mistake that I find myself making right now, so I can personally attest to how detrimental this can be to your game. So I think this mistake mainly applies to when players make wall edits, and even though that isn't the only time it happens, let me address that first. A super common situation that happens a million times a game is you have a wall in front of you that you own and the enemy's on the other side of it. It could be on the defensive end of a box fight, the offensive end of a box fight, or you may have just placed down a random wall to block the enemy's shotgun shot. In this situation, there are so many powerful and easy to execute edits that you could possibly make. Just to name a few, you have the ever so popular peanut butter edit, the top row 3 tile edit, you can edit a single window towards the left or right middle. There are easily like 6 to 7 different options at least. But a lot of average level players for some reason will always make the same 1 or maybe 2 edits no matter where they're positioned. Sure, the middle window edit is a really solid one to make in most situations, but if your body's positioned towards the middle of the wall when you open it, you're going to be totally exposed for a solid second or so as you switch away from your building menu to your weapon. A top right corner peanut butter edit is great most of the time as well, but if you're near the left side of the wall, now you need to try some crazy strafe jump shot that's going to be really hard to hit. So it's super important that you're willing to use all the different wall edits at your disposal depending on the situation and your positioning. If you aren't and you just do the same ones over and over again, that's going to end up hurting you pretty frequently. Another time when players are way too predictable with their edits is when they ramp over someone. What most good players do when they get ramped over nowadays is immediately pre-aim the ramp because they're expecting to be edited down on. Now that doesn't mean you shouldn't ever make that play, because honestly, the majority of average level players won't be expecting it. But just be aware that if you're fighting someone that you can tell is really good at the game, you may want to be a little more creative when you ramp over them than just immediately editing down. The next mistake that I see players make all the time is not having enough patience before starting a fight. The most common situation where this happens is when someone's about 30 to 50 meters away from an enemy, or even multiple enemies that don't see them. The thing is, I totally understand why this happens, and I used to make this mistake all the time. You see a player that isn't facing you, you line up your crosshair, and you just can't resist shooting and dealing some damage. But here's the thing, nowadays even average level players are going to reaction build and block your shots almost immediately, so if you're outside maybe the 20 to 30 meter range, with how bad Bloom is, most of the time you're only going to land 1 to 2 shots. Now sure, that is some decent chip damage and it is going to give you an advantage in the fight, but probably not a massive advantage by any means. And what I'll see all the time in team game modes, because a lot of my friends aren't that great at the game, is that they'll shoot a guy not facing them just to deal a tad bit of chip damage, and now the entire team turns around and they end up getting destroyed. So I'll play 2 clips in the background right now that show the advantage of having patience before engaging in a fight. In both of these clips, I could have easily shot right away and probably done a decent amount of damage, but instead I waited, repositioned a bit, let the enemies kinda get a little more separated, and because of that, when I eventually started shooting, it resulted in me getting a knock before the fight even started. And since both of those fights were 1v2 situations, I believe, without that initial knock, I would have been in a pretty sticky situation. So there's no need to rush shots if the enemy or enemies aren't looking at you. Take a deep breath, take your time, and wait for the best opportunity possible before you actually pull the trigger. Mistake number 3 in this video is one that I think affects players of all skill level because it's a mistake that's really all mental, caring too much about upgrading your loot. And no, I'm not referring to upgrade stations because I know most people don't even use those. I more so mean upgrading your loot by virtue of running over dead bodies or opening chests/supply drops. Now, I'm a big believer that a small reason why Battle Royale games are so successful is because people just psychologically love to upgrade things. If you have a green tack and you pick up a blue one, there's something that makes you feel a bit more positive about your chances in that match. Now, if you just loot a chest off spawn and get a higher rarity weapon or 3 extra minis, that's obviously a good thing, but there's situations where people's desire to get better loot actually gets them killed. The most common example of this is without a doubt in team fights, and again, I'm super guilty when it comes to this one. I'll be in like a 1v2 or 2v3 situation, and the fight will start with me getting a knock from maybe 15 to 20 meters away with my AR, but then I'll finish the guy, and once I get the elim, I'll see that he dropped a purple scar and blue tack when I only have a blue AR and green tack, and as much as I try to resist the urge, I run out into the open to upgrade my weapons, I get lasered by the guy's teammate, and then when I box up and try to heal, he just phases in and destroys me. And even though I'm a little less guilty when it comes to this one, I see it happen all the time with supply drops as well. A player will have insane loot, you know, great weapons, shield, launch pads, pretty much everything you could ever ask for, but despite all that, when a supply drop lands 50 to 100 meters away from them, they make it their life's goal for whatever reason to go get it, and it results in them getting lasered by multiple different players. Don't get me wrong, upgrading weapons and loot in general is definitely important, but it isn't worth risking your life over. Getting higher rarity weapons especially usually only adds a very small amount of damage per shot, so only do it when you know that you're 100% safe and not putting your life at risk in any way. Our next mistake that I see players make way too commonly is giving up left side peeks too easily. When it comes to close range fights in Fortnite, left side aka right hand peeking is probably the single most important tactic in the entire game. I think everybody already knows the power of it at this point. Since Fortnite's a third-person shooter, you can sit behind cover and be totally protected while seeing everything in front of you, and then as long as you use that right-hand peek, you only have to expose a very minimal part of your body to pop out and shoot the enemy. Now, I know playing right-hand peek sort of has this reputation as a boring playstyle to some people, and I think that's why I see a lot of players give up great right-hand peek positions really frequently. They don't want to play slow and wait 10 to 15 seconds for their enemy to make a mistake. They want to just go, 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 so they'll instead pop out and take a 50-50 fight. I get it, playing slow isn't the most fun thing in the world to me either. I'd love to just rush out and destroy everyone I see, but one thing that everyone can agree is worse than playing slow is dying and having to queue into another game. If you have that left side peek advantage over an enemy in a close range fight, do not give it up unless you absolutely need to. The final mistake I want to quickly cover at the end of this video is something I briefly pointed out in a recent video I made: players not using all their weapons in close range fights. Nothing ruins your chances of securing an elim more than reloading one of your weapons. But since SMGs especially, which are so popular on console, fire really quickly and do such little damage per shot, you're gonna run out of bullets without having finished off the enemy fairly frequently. Now sure, if that enemy has a ton of health left, it probably is a smart idea to disengage and then reload your weapons, but if you know for a fact that they're pretty weak, there's nothing wrong with switching to your AR to finish the kill. Sure, it isn't necessarily a weapon designed for point point-blank range fights, but it'll get the job done most times. And I'll just quickly run a clip in the background that shows me pretty much running out of ammo in my current weapon, so I switch to my AR, continue to pressure the guy with it, and it works out really well in the end. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you watched the entire thing, be sure to let me know with a comment down in the comment section below. Out of the 5 mistakes that I discussed in this video, which one do you personally feel that you make most frequently? And if you feel like you don't make any of those mistakes, you can say that too. Be sure to leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe, turn on post notifications, do whatever the heck you want, and I will catch you guys next time.